Gemini, Gemini and Parakeet people, because they're going crazy outside my window. I've laid your cards already, so to see whether you want to stick around or not. This is a really lovely ending. More problematic potential ending, which is really interesting, but because we have it superseded by the actual ending, I think this is a really interesting and lovely reading and quite instructive. And I think it's to do with something you're trying to reclaim from your childhood. Um, there's something I'm grasping at that I woke up thinking about in my own youth. I tell you what it was. I kept lots of bits of magazine, like little patterns I like and pictures I like and stuff. And I just allowed myself the freedom of just randomly posting them into a book today, a lovely kind of album thing that I've got, because I just thought, well, what's the point in them sitting here waiting for me to do something with them? And it was before that, even before that, something had made me think about reclaiming, going back to a time, and maybe it was to do with it being Father's Day today, and maybe it's also to do with this huge protest that's going on in America today and all the news, which I don't want to talk about. It's very anxious making. But this sense of needing to reclaim power from a time, and I was thinking, it's funny, I'm obviously not meant to tell you about it because it's sort of out of my mind somehow. But I know, because I can't remember the exact time in my teenage when I was thinking I want to go back and get the power from them. Then, not from them, but maybe there is something in that. But reclaim that moment. It's as if, there was a door and you decided which way to walk through, and where some power may have leaked out when you were at that kind of point in your life, you'll know when it is, when things were potentially very, very good, and maybe, gosh, it's all relating, because I just did a reading about fathers, which really started as a Leo reading, and then I immediately made it into a collective. And maybe Leo, because I felt it did somehow relate to you. There's this feeling of, I can't remember the incident, I'm not meant to tell you about it, but I remember it was something in my life where, had I had a stronger internal sort of paternal figure internally, I might have realized how amazing I was and not given some power away. We're all amazing. This is nothing arrogant. You know what I mean. That appreciation for parts of yourself, the purest parts of yourself, that actually we all have, and that sometimes we don't value, we don't realize, because we're so used to them, and they're so much part of us. We don't see how special they are. We're all incredibly special, turning up with our own unique bundle of gifts, and we often miss that in our need to try and kind of conform. We don't realize how much we've already got. So let's dive in, because yeah, at the beginning of your reading is the Six of Cups, and it feels like that feels like you trying to reclaim in a sort of shamanic way a moment of when you want to go back to that moment and reclaim all the power, extract all the juice out of it. I mean, even I was thinking, about how we give our power away to sort of idols when we're young. It's so strange that we sort of harvest off all our energy in a way by projecting it onto other people, and it seems so strange. And of course, teenagers need those kind of, and young people need those kind of heroes to sort of hook their aspirations onto, in a way, and let them know who they are internally, these big sort of mythic figures that the PR people make them into, and the films and the pop music and whatever. And of course we need that in a way, but also we leak a bit of energy with it. So that's you internally thinking a lot about a time in your life, I feel, when you could have somehow taken a slight wrong turn, or nothing's wrong, but you could now go back and retrieve some of the energy that got wasted, given away, unappreciated. How this makes you act in the outside world, I love it. You're working hard on it with the Eight of Pentacles, and you're jumping into your Wheel of Fortune to effect some change. I think you really do realize this, and you are prepared to put the hard work in that will also be enjoyable to make this change. Based on, if you're not going to do a shamanic journey, then based on doing the psychological work, the shadow work, the work with a therapist, the work with talking to friends, journaling, in order to kind of acknowledge that part of you, not get stuck in a loop with it, and then grow up a bit in relation to it and do some of your own parenting and retrieve the lessons and not go round and round in circles, all of those kind of ideas. At the basis of the reading, yeah, it's you as this teenage figure, this Page of Swords, who is standing on higher ground, making her plans. So I sort of feel, when I looked at this whole reading before I start speaking, I'm never quite sure what it is, but I do think there's some part of your teenage self that you are reclaiming the power of. So much trauma, there's so much trauma in being a teenager, really. Often for tragic reasons. People lose parents, people have bad things happen to them, but also just even if you have a very sort of standard version of a teenage, it's a huge growth. It involves our hormonal, our adult side coming into being, and it's traumatic, and we can take some turns where I think we get a little bit stuck because it's also very impactful time. So this is you re-engaging, the basis of this reading, re-engaging with something that happened around your teenage, where I feel you can retrieve some power, some knowledge. In the recent past, the death, a rebirth, and I think it's a death of some sort of negative thinking, some sort of going round and round. This would be the kind of thinking that is, of the Eight of Swords, that is self-victimizing thoughts that might have come into play as a teenager. And we've got the death of that behavior. This is wonderful. This is like a kind of a realization of something that you have been, where you've been self-victimizing, you've internalized some messages or made some assumptions based on something probably from your teenage that has not been helpful, and there's been a realization about it, which is wonderful. Coming up as a potential outcome, I got the sneaky Seven of Swords, the Lovers, which is about a divine choice or a divine partnership, and the three of the major three of the Empress. So as a potential outcome, before we bring in a very sunny attitude and something to do with mixing and melding our views, we do run the risk of somehow missing a choice, leaking more of this energy that we're identifying shamanically we might want to go and retrieve from our teenage, and it's having an effect on our ability to create, with be a parent ourselves if we're in that position, or even get to that position if you're thinking about having children, or parenting yourself, mothering yourself if you don't have children, don't want children, it's not part of your life, or be very aligned to your creativity. So it feels as if the partnership with that side of you, that divine partnership with the kind of part of you that looks after yourself, creates, feels abundance, feels security, is very rooted in that kind of base chakra and in this kind of sense of fecundity, is maybe in the potential outcome leaking a bit of energy, having something stolen from it, not feeling secure. That's not ideal, but don't worry, we're headed somewhere lovely. In the and it's probably more as a sort of realization that might have been a pattern that you've been in already. Coming up in the near future, though, we have a sort of almost like a version of her, isn't it? Wrestling with the lion in the strength card. There's something waking up in you that's really strong, that's really able to deal with this kind of internal subconscious programming that is getting the better of it now. There's an alchemy, there's a magician's, sort of female magician's kind of energy that is coming to bear on all these unconscious, unowned parts of yourself, this energy that got leaked, that is in danger of being leaked in our potential outcome, she's now got a handle on it, and things are starting to work in your favor. So I love that you realize where you're leaking through your self-victimizing thoughts. Now there's a sort of sense of your libido, your will, your inner magician, the intention of that kind of strength really waking up. So in the face of what you realize you stand to lose and have lost, I don't think you're prepared to do it anymore, because your attitude, this wonderful rebirth of the sun from your death in the recent past, you're now thinking positively. This is a card of manifestation, of joy, of riding away from the wall of past hurts. And I really think that it's your attitude here coming into play that changes the outcome from one in which you're still a bit unable to contact your internal maternal ability to create, generate, take advantage of these wonderful offers from the universe, this partnership with the universe. I think that is when we see you still struggling with the remnants of this negative thinking. Now, with this positive attitude that you're starting to embody, this makes all the difference. So write those affirmations, do your 369s, do your self-talk, your mirror work, and relate again to this younger character, this younger person in your psyche, and give them all the care and love that you would have done if you'd have had all your knowledge that you have now. Whatever this point was in your teenage or your childhood where the energy started to leak, you are now relating to them in such a healthy way. You've let that part of you be reborn. You've cared for it. You've put this lovely light of the sun onto it, and there's just a sense of enormous optimism, freedom, and shedding of all these past hurts, which is wonderful. In your environment, there is the Two of Pentacles, so it's sort of juggling, and it's quite energetic, and it's not that it's not fun, but I'm looking at the sea, so it feels like juggling emotions. There's a lot coming up for you, and maybe you're still sort of working on the sort of remnants of this old patterning where you lost some energy in your teenage. And so there's a sort of, in your environment, a sense of things churning around and things being reorganized and having to cope with a lot of new information. And in your hopes and fears, you want this King of Cups. You want this knowledge, this ability to deal with very strong emotions and all that's coming up, but also to be wise about them, to connect with them, to rule from a place of deep wisdom emotionally. Therefore, having integrated that younger energy and healed it, maybe now bringing that into the fold, understanding all of that with your King of Cups, this is what you want. You want to be connected to your emotions. I think by tending to this part of yourself, it's unleashing a sort of very emotionally alive and aware part of you, and that's what you want. It's also a bit frightening probably because it's hopes and fears, but it's definitely good. And where it's all leading, I just love this. Six of Pentacles, reciprocity, fairness, balance. This is indicating you've taken back your power from this point where you leaked it as a child, as a teenager. Justice is being done. The energy is being all aligned again. The leaked esteem probably and sense of fairness and equity is all coming back. And now we're on our mythic quest. Now we're with the Chariot. We've got so much aligned that, a bit like the fast movement of the sun, we're off on a new quest where we're maybe still a little bit in that Two of Pentacles. We're splitting our laser beam, but we are racing forward now with the handbrake is off and everything feels like it's come alive for us. This is amazing. So, Leo, what was that? Something being blown around in the background. There's a gust of wind. So let's pull you some capping cards. We've only got 3 extra decks here. What's just fallen out? We've got the Seven of Pentacles. This is lovely. This is something really wonderful to work on. It says, don't get scared if I'm sounding all positive and you've got a kind of hint of it, because otherwise you wouldn't have stayed around. But you're thinking, yeah, but I don't feel that far on in the process. This is saying keep working at it. There will be a harvest. Even if that son, that inner optimistic child being reborn, feels a little bit far to you, keep those ideas up in, or far ahead. Keep that up in the sky. The sun is peeking out. Look, it's coming. It is coming. Keep meditating, keep being connected to nature, keep doing the work that you're doing. It's a note of encouragement, I think, because sometimes it all does feel like a little bit too positive. But you know what? Life is really positive sometimes. And if you've been through harder times, then it's wonderful that you're learning the lessons, right? We've got 2 cards here. Page of Cups. This is you reborn again, a bit like the Sun, and the 8 of Coins. That's great. Where did we have the 8 of Coins before? Yeah, the 8 of Coins working away. It's just indicating again, so the 7 to the 8 of Coins, you really are putting in the work. Look at him. You're building something amazing. You are, with your work, moving that wheel of fortune around. It's so beautiful. It really tells me whoever's watching this has done a lot of work, and and it's all starting to pay off. It's absolutely amazing. And the Page of Cups, a bit like your wish to be like the King of Cups. This one of his younger courtiers he's, look at him, enamored with this fish and playing his instrument. I think it's sort of saying to me that once your emotions are starting to flow, and this block, it's like a dam breaking, isn't it? There's a massive flowing emotion now that's coming, and with it your imagination, your artistry, your ability to create, your ability to be youthful and engaged in the world in this really sort of imaginative, in love, alive, artistic way. I think if you're an artist in any way, however you express yourself, this will be really, really good for that energy in you. So we've also got this deck here, slouching away. We've also got this deck here, so I'm just going to pull, I think this is the Mystical Moments. Feels like there's some of it missing. Yes, there we go. So let's see, one more capping card, and then we might have a whimsical little charm. We've got 2. What have we got here? The Strength again. Did we just have the Strength, or did that come out in the... Yeah, no, we've had the Strength. So isn't this amazing how this happens? Another version of the Strength. It's emphasized how much work you're putting in by emphasizing the 8 of Pentacles, which has come in. So we've got the 6, 7, and 8 of Pentacles. So this work is really paying off. It's emphasizing your strength. It's saying you have the female magician's ability to really get to grips with this. Don't be frightened. Look at how much, especially in this one, she's integrating, because she's got the lion's ears. She's integrating with this kind of energy. It's funny, it's not. Let's come on. Focus. Let's see if I do it this way. She's integrating with the lion's energy, and she's because she's got those ears, but she's also dealing with this wild beast. So however bad this leak was, this incident was in your childhood, this many years it could have been, you are getting to grips with it. What else was emphasized? Well, the King of Cups and your hopes and fears, your emotions. So this is a really lovely, and also what came out was the 6 of Wands. You are going to be recognized. I mean, it's almost like Spirit is recognizing you for your success, all this hard work you're putting in. It feels as if the joy that's coming through that sun and in your attitude is really being noted by people around you. And there's a sense of you moving on and being acknowledged by that, as doing that from your community. And what have we got here? We've got a moon with a star, and a smiling moon at that, and a book. So I wonder, have we got any writers or anyone who journals here? Because that says to me you might be writing a book, you've been journaling, a poet, something to do with your written word is really, really working for you now. And this new moon with the star connecting you to your intuition with the High Priestess, with the star card, with the star here. It feels like a affirmation of a really amazing new start. Well done, Leo. This is absolutely incredible. Leo, Parakeet people, I think you're on to a complete winner. Things look like they're getting really, really good. See you again.